Alrighty, IDS back here with another ranking. This time, not Toa. A few of you asked in the comments if I could rank the Barraki. So that's what I'm doing. Now, the Barraki. Interesting. I have an interesting history with the Barraki. I know I keep saying, oh, you're gonna hate my opinions. This one, I think people really will hate my opinions. Just even through the ranking shorts, I think a few people weren't too best pleased with my opinions on these guys. So, as I tend to do with these now, because I've done a few enough for there to be a pattern, I'll give you a little rambling intro with my his experience with the Barraki, my overall opinions of the Barraki before I rank them. I touched on this in my Mari video, but as a kid, and even now, 2006 was like one of my favorite years. It felt like Bionicle was just ramping up. And, it just sort of reached a peak where, wow, these are the most posable sets ever again. These are like radical, there's light up weapons. I love the Ionica. I'm like, I'm riding a high. Bionicle is on her upward swing. Things are looking great. And then those pictures of the Barraki showed up online. And, yeah, I wasn't too happy with them. I mentioned the Mario video as well. There's a point in everyone's life as a kid, you'll love every movie that comes out, every TV show that comes out, every toy that comes out. You love it all. And then one day you go and you're like, this one wasn't good, or, I don't like this one. Like that critical brain kicks in. There may have been things before that you, with an older brain, you might not have liked, or if they'd come out a little bit later in your life, you might have been a bit more critical of. Like, 2005 has quite a few mid sets, but at the time I didn't really think of anything of it. But something awoke in me with 2007 when those Barraki pictures first came out. I was like, I don't like these guys. Where's the new body? Why is there so many reused pieces? Why are half of them sticks? Yeah. So to be honest, when the Barraki came out, they were like my least favorite sets at the time. Not gonna lie. Now, mind you, with time and age, I've softened a little bit on them. I can appreciate what's good about them, and actually, upon reflection and taking a look at these guys more in my later years, I don't really hate them like I used to. And some of the things I don't like about the Barraki are actually some of their strengths. But yeah, again, describing half of them as sticks, while that's true, that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. I think where we were at this point in Bionicle, there was a sort of shift here where it was like, okay, the Ionica design has kind of refined us to a point of peak articulation. We've got an entire sort of system of parts here. This is the building system now. This was like the CCBS of its time, where we're like, okay, we're stopping here, and now we're going to just kind of delve back into the library of parts, keep reusing builds, and start putting new pieces on top of that. Which is fair. At the end of the day, it's like, okay, maybe it was unsustainable for us to be getting to a Metro level library of new parts every year. But yeah, again, at the time, it was a little bit disappointing to me, just to see so much reuse. And again, upon reflection, it's not entirely accurate. If we're looking back at with a more objective view, Kalma gave us a full set of armor. We got new feet with him. Mandax gave us new feet. Both him and Karapar have new body parts and body armor. Karapar and Takadox have new armor. There's a lot of new stuff here. And I haven't done the math really, but I think back to the Vaki, and I want to say how much was reused from previous sets there. But again, it was earlier on. I didn't quite have the rational brain that I did. So I think some of my Barraki hate as a kid was undue. But to this day, I do still think they are one of the most overrated lines of Bionicle. But again, people seem to love 2007 a lot, which is fair. Again, completely justified thing to want. Another problem I have with the Barraki in general, and again, this might be a bit of a bold statement, I think you can tell the 2007 story without the Barraki. Is that crazy? Am I crazy for saying that? Like, you couldn't take the Baraka out of 2006. They arrive to Voya Nui. They masquerade as Toa. The matoran cotton on. Like, they are very intrinsically needed for that plot. Same thing with the Borok, you know, they're cleansing Mata Nui. It's needed. The Vaki play a key part in 2004. The Visorak, it's the whole thing. But I genuinely think you can get away with 2007's story without too many edits by just removing the Baraki completely. The Mari mini-movie kind of does that, and kind of gives us a quick sort of summary. Like, there is the Toa have to descend into a hostile ocean. It's almost like a Kong Skull Island thing where everything in the environment is already trying to kill them. There are savage creatures everywhere. You know, they're in the bottom of the ocean. And then you've got Maxilos, who's actually Makuta with his own nefarious wants for the Mask of Life. Hydraxon's a player. You know, you can kind of tell the story without them. I'm trying to think what's specific, aside from another bunch of, you know, they're warlord, edgelord characters, whatever. They all kind of hate each other, but they want to work together. Yeah, it's not exactly the Paraka, but it's not too different. But I think you can really actually just tell that story without them. They're not super key to that. Again, that's an oversimplification, but when I look at the Mari mini-movie, and I think back to 2007 of notable clashes between the Baraki and the Mari, there aren't really that many that come to mind beyond just standard scuffles they have while trying to get the Mask of Life. So to be honest, I think they're overrated characters as well. They are all just different shades of, you know, edgy guys. And I mean, you could probably say the same thing about the Paraka, but I don't know. I think the Paraka are a little bit more interesting, their place in the story versus just general warlord people. And, you know, similarly, the Makuta in 2008 are also just a bunch of kind of conniving evil, you know, tyrant type characters, but I don't know. That's my view on the Baraki. If you can remove some villains from a story and it doesn't impact the story that much, how great are the villains? People are going to eat me alive in the comments for that one. But I do think 2007 can exist without the Baraki if you just have Maxilos and Hydraxon as villains, and then just because they're in the ocean, everything is trying to kill the Toa anyway. Like, getting the Mask of Life is perilous because of that. But yeah, anyway, nothing to do with the sets. That's just my sort of backstory with the Baraki, for my history, of my opinion on them, along with, you know, why perhaps story-wise I don't think they're that great. Okay, cool. Let's just get on to it. What is my least favorite Baraki set? If you've seen my shorts, if you know me, you know it's gonna be Prydak. Not only is Prydak the worst Baraki in my opinion, I think Prydak is the worst canister set in G1. I just really dislike it a lot. See, I've got a few pictures here of him just to demonstrate. So, this build in general, I think there is hardly a thing I like about this. I'll say the positives that I do like, I guess. For this wave, we got some new feet. Cool. Again, looking back, actually, we got 3 new feet with these guys. But as a kid, I'm like, they're barely new pieces. I'm kind of grasping at straws. New foot mold. The new blades are cool. Really like the shoulder daggers. Those are great. Those got a lot of use later on, and understandably so, it's a great piece. If anything, these daggers, not the daggers, the full-size blades didn't get enough use later on. The novelty, I guess, of the blood thing. Like, obviously, it's blood. Like I said, it's not blood, it's blood. The jaw mandible pincer thing is cool, but all the Baraki have that. And I think that's all I like about this set. I mean, you could also say, oh, the Baraki eyes were cool. Again, not unique to Prydak. I think the set is dog shit. From almost every single aspect. To me, it doesn't look good, just in general. It looks like a gangly, disgusting mess. Anyone who's actually held the set in hand knows it's extremely flimsy. I don't think it's a good fit for what it's supposed to represent. I've seen in one of my comment sections someone saying Prydak was supposed to be a piranha. I don't think so. He actually looks more like a piranha. But I believe the marketing is he's a shark. And let me just say, you know, we assign characters animals in fiction to be evocative of that animal's traits. You know, when you describe someone as a hulking bear, they're huge, they're muscular, they're big, maybe a lot of fat on them, right? A shark, especially, I think it's intentional that he's the white set as well. A great white shark should be a big, strong, hulking, powerful being. Look at King Shark from DC or other shark-based characters. Look at street sharks. Like, sharks in fiction, when you give a character shark traits, they are supposed to be huge. Again, I saw another comment saying that, maybe he's like a nurse shark. No one is basing the leader of their villain team on a freaking nurse shark. He's supposed to be a great white shark. What the hell is this build? What part of this build calls to mind shark? I mean, it is honestly terrible. I don't know why this is off to the side. I wish I could move that across. Will it pop up if I do that? Sorry, technical stuff. No, this picture is weirdly aligned. Sorry about that, and I can't really move it over. I'll just go off of this one. So let's just go. Look, these arms, the triple length arms are awful. The nuva legs, along with many of the 2001 to 2003 bones, are designed to be one limb end to end, right? They have a bend where they suppose a joint would be already in the piece. They aren't necessarily designed to be part of multi-part limbs. Why they thought that would look good beats the hell out of me. It makes him look like he has an elbow here and an elbow here. Why does he have 3 joints? I don't know. It also creates a weird, goopy, Gumby-ass arm. And then it only really, and I don't think it looks good, but it only really works, I guess, in this pose. You want to bend this arm at this angle, it looks weird. Why is it, he's got like rickets? His bones are all bendy. If you bend this arm at the elbow, it just looks ridiculous. It just looks terrible. Again, it's like the part of his radius and ulna are just bent out of shape. It just looks awful. The color balancing is awful as well. So he has black legs, black hips, and then obviously black in his body, and then just pure white limbs with black hands. It just, what is the distribution here? It just looks stupid. The legs look, he's using the skinny Rakshi legs and unarmored thighs. Okay, again, not a super great look to me. These feet, they also look ridiculous to me. He's got weird backwards clown feet. I understand that, people say, oh, you can kind of position them so he looks like he has a tail fin. I've never seen it really work that well or seen it posed in a way that makes sense. And people often question, how can you dislike Brighter? This body design, for a canister-sized set, is not great. It's not even structurally sound to hold him up. The original set designer actually designed the set to have 2 of these Horde connects supporting it, because he also acknowledged that this would not be strong enough to support the body. But they had to, obviously, I think including those pieces would push him over the piece count. So this thing just flops all over the place. So not only does he look weak, but he structurally is weak. Again, I've said this before, but I can deal with a set being flimsy or not well put together if the final product looks good. I'm very much an aesthetics over anything person. And this body, doesn't look good, in my opinion. It's just this angle, it's this hard 90-degree angle here, 90-degree angle here. What is this? Why is this? It's not really a reflection of the animal. It doesn't look great as a body. Again, looking at the ridiculous limbs here, even this pose, so it's straight and then it's bent. Nope. Creates this awful look. Again, this I don't mind this piece being used as the back fin. So you've got these long gangly limbs. I'm not even a big fan of the face design. Again, if this is supposed to be a piranha, it's much better piranha. I think he honestly looks... Oh, that's not Brightak. Do I have another... I felt like I had another picture of him. I guess I don't. Yeah, not even a big fan of the face, honestly. It doesn't look intimidating. He looks goofy to me. It's the bug eyes that are far apart with this tiny mouth. that's barely open, it just, he looks like a freaking guppy. Yeah, I guess some of that is subjective, but to me, he's structurally not sound. The set doesn't look good. It's poorly designed. He looks just ridiculous. The arms and the legs, they don't really look, it's not a good utilization of those nuva limbs. He doesn't look strong. Again, you pick an animal for your character to represent. It should carry some traits of that animal. You would think with a great white shark, he would carry a large presence, imposing presence. This guy looks like a creepy, like, I guess a nimble killer. Again, I think maybe if he is supposed to be a piranha, that's better. That's a better fit. But again, nowhere am I seeing that that's the case. Correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm missing some glaring source, but regardless, even if it's a better fit for the animal, I don't like this set. It just looks horrible. And in some of the other sets as well, there's a little bit of a balance between where the squid launcher is. Not this one. Again, I think people, this is the thing with the Barraki as well, their CGI images do a lot of heavy lifting for them. As you can see, there's a lot of covering of everything. You can't really make out the form of the body here. The way the blades come down obscure how scrawny the legs are. Again, it is a pose this set can achieve, but I do think a lot of the Barraki poses in their CGs are hiding a lot of their shortcomings. But yeah, before I waffle on forever, don't like Prydak. He is, to me, the worst G1 canister set. Him having his weapons dipped in blood doesn't do anything for me. So yeah, I don't like him. Again, I didn't really have many positives for him. Moving along, I guess, before I just keep running that in circles saying the same thing, which I tend to do. Who is my 5th place set? That would be Elec. Again, people have seen my shorts and will also know that not a big fan of Elec either. I'm going to close some of these windows. Goodbye, Prydak. Elec. Why do I dislike Elec? Elec is another one where I think a lot of the photos of him do him a lot of justice. Like, let's just go back to a CG image. Some things I like about Elec, let's start with it. The things that are like specific to him, I actually do like. I really like his head design. His head design is really neat. I do like this kind of yellowy, greeny hue they achieved here. I saw someone mentioning that, oh, it would have been cool if he glue in the dark. I think so too. Especially with how in the animation, you know, he charges up the thing that's like thrown at him. Am I misremembering what that is? And also being an eel, you know, you would think the electricity thing glowing would have been a cool thing for him to do. Really like his weapons. His blades are super cool. He's like Wolverine serrated things, pretty great. What I call the custom Paraka spine, like if you want to make your own custom Skagti, you get spines that aren't attached to anything. That is a fantastic piece. Great addition. But yeah, it's almost like, okay, at the extremities, I like Elec's parts. What do I dislike about Elec? Elec is he's just a really boring Technic beam set. Again, when I'm like, the complaints that, half of these guys are sticks, Elec feels like that. Elec feels like how do we rehash Takaducks, but worse. I don't like his unarmored limbs, just the gap there, there's nothing there. Again, I'll come to him later, but Takadox also has similar builds, but he has little things like the red spikes and feel a little more intentional on him. He just looks bare where it doesn't look right. I don't like how he has the thin legs and then like the thick arms on the end of a long bone. It looks weird. He's got like Popeye arms again. It's like fat little limbs on the top of like really thin biceps. He's an eel as well. Why is he not just skinny all throughout? I really do think he should have had matching limbs, or maybe the Rakshi limbs as his arms. Similarly, I don't really think the Paraka feet are that great on this build either. Honestly, he could probably look better and be more fitting with the Prydak feet. As goofy as those pieces are, they feel like more like something like an eel would have. And they came in dark green in Karzani. I don't know if anyone's ever mocked with it. Mocked a build like that, but you know, Elec from a lot of angles just looks ridiculous. It's another one where the CG does a lot of heavy lifting in many of these images. Like here, he looks pretty cool. But again, the arm here is obscuring the the Technic beam torso, kind of sort of hiding the legs. And you see the wide half of these limbs, so you don't see the how scrawny he looks. Yeah, so I just don't really like him. It just feels like everything that Elec does, you can get better elsewhere. I think Elec is achieved better through Takadox and Spinax. Spinax is almost like a better Elec, minus the colors. So Elec has good things about him. I just don't really like the way he ends up looking. To be honest, an eel was a difficult animal to sort of base a character on, and I don't necessarily think they achieved it all that well. But yeah, again, I just think he's pretty like ugh. This set just feels like a bit of a Takadox rehash, but worse. Though again, I'll give Elec this. He has great pieces. Those spines are just top tier pieces, fantastic. And again, they got really good use. You know, if you want to make your own custom Skagti, the Gadunka teeth is a fantastic use of this piece, really good. But yeah, just overall, just feels the limbs aren't a great look. I don't really like the feet on this build. The arms and legs mismatch are crazy, and the Technic body, meh. So yeah, that's Elec. Elec is in 5th place. In 4th place, and this again maybe feels like a hot take, is Kalma. Kalma is perfectly mid. Perfectly mid. He's not great. He's okay. Nothing to write home about. I always find it interesting that in most of the CG pictures, he has Hordika feet without the fins. They're selling the set short. I mean, he had new pieces that they weren't advertising. I don't know why. For me, it's, and you'll actually see in the latter half of the list the difference between the previous members of the list and the ones I prefer. Kalma just feels like a waste of concept. I actually don't think the CG picture of him looks all that great. He has a really great head sculpt. And actually, this photo of him looks really nice. I just like the gleam of all the bionicle parts here. It looks great. Kalma's head sculpt is great. One of the best ones. Really like the 3 eyes. He gets a full jaw. Some of the Barraki, it look like they're missing their bottom jaw. Karapar and Elec actually come to mind. But Kalma has a fantastic head sculpt. Really like the new armor he has as well. The texture on that piece makes it a little less usable as it could be, just because of those. It doesn't really match a lot of other bionicle textures. There are other small round circles that some of the Anika armor have, but these are like ovals. But you know, the two-tone black and red is cool. And I like the feet. I'm actually not sure if I prefer standard Hordika feet or these feet, but they are great. For me, it's just beyond that. He's just so boring. He's just a standard Inika Paraka ripoff, and he started the plague of the backwards Paraka torso. And actually, because he has the shoulder armor, he uses it the best, perhaps, of all the Paraka torso clones. It was only downhill from here. So he started this plague. And then look at his weapon. I really like this tentacle piece, but this guy is supposed to be like a squid dude. He just looks like he's holding it. I always thought it was just very poorly implemented. I don't know if they wanted to. They should have done something like, where the Technic version of the Bionicle hand ends in the axle receiver facing outwards. If he had one of those and the tentacles were coming out of the end, and he had them in both arms, or they gave him multiple arms like Gorast or Skull Slicer, Skull fucking Pooper, whatever the hell the 4-armed one is. He's a squid. I feel like they could have done something a bit more. He just looks like a guy holding a tentacle staff. It's just really poorly executed, in my opinion. Just the weapon here. And I think it sells the guy really short because it just feels like a waste. I think they could have done something a little bit more creative with this guy. Again, even if both arms had a tentacle, or like Nocturne is another multi-armed guy. There's just something about, squid, multiple limbs. I know Bionicle's guilty of doing that. We've got a million spiders with just 4 limbs, but I don't know, spiders and bugs, they get across the idea. You don't need all the limbs to get the idea across, but this guy's a squid. I feel like, especially with the headdress and stuff, he could have done with some multiple limbs, working around the budget creatively, or, you know, doing something a little bit more than he's just holding his tentacle in his hand. It just feels like a waste. But yeah, that's my opinion on him. He's just perfectly mid. He's just too boring of a build. He's just a guy, a standard rehash of what we had last year, with some new armor, new feet, and a new head, who is holding a tentacle. It's just weird. Again, I would rather him almost like a tentacle in each arm, or building the arm separately to better incorporate the tentacle, or, you know, doing something a bit more in theme with the animal. It just feels like it's a little bit short of the concept. But yeah, so that's why Kalmar sits in 4th place. In my 3rd place, I'm going to put Mantax. Mantax is a set that I came around on, to be honest. Mantax, for me, as a kid, I was like, I lumped him in with another guy whose entire body is just a freaking Technic lift arm. But, you know, as the hatred subsided, I looked at it more objectively, and actually, he's a pretty cool set. Talking to the animal thing, I think it's really creative that his bust, his head and shoulders, he is the manta ray. Like, it's almost like if you had a manta ray and a body just grew out from underneath it. And I think that is a really cool concept. From the CG pictures, that is not the right picture. I think I only have one Mantax picture open. No, I had this one as well. I couldn't quite tell that these were Karpa body armors as the shoulders. I don't have the right CG picture. His box art wasn't super clear, so I also thought that he had some sort of rehash thing on him. I don't know, but it's a creative use of that piece. The fact that you get 2 kind of body armor pieces in one set is really great. I think the skinny limbs here almost work. Again, the fact that it almost looks like this body's descending from underneath a manta ray is really cool. He's got a really cool face. I think he's a little bit more abstract, but also maybe feels like he's missing a bottom jaw here, but still looks great. The new feet piece is pretty cool as well. Kind of looks like he's clomping around a big Doc Martens. And why do I keep opening this picture of Karpa? And unlike Elec, who just has the exact same basically build as Takadox, he has a different build. I'd really like the use of the Rakshi body element here. That's really cool. Adds more of a curve here, makes it not just a stick. There is a more of an organic arc here. I like the fact that he still uses the Inika body here, but in a far more creative way. He's not just an Inika build clone. He actually does something creative, which is great. I really like the system barb piece as the stingray tail as well. Even silly things like incorporating the Paraka minifig spines into this. It's just, those are technically bionicle origin pieces. Great to see them used. He has a little bit of the gimp arm thing that the Paraka had, and I think he's a little bit worse for it, just because it is a bit longer. But unlike Motoro Mari, Mantax is a weird monster man. I can deal with a weird arm on him a bit more. And he's one of those sets where, his weapon is a small claw, but almost symmetrically the squid launcher sort of matches it. It's almost like you blur your eyes and he has symmetrical claws. So yeah, Mantax was a victim of my undue hate when I was younger. But you know what? He is actually a pretty neat set. So Mantax, forgive me. You really proved me wrong, and I actually think you're pretty damn cool. So Mantax, be happy in third place. You earned it, buddy. And that's another one. And just to give Mantax that final sort of praise, he, unlike say Kalmar or Elec or Prydak, I think really succeeds in representing his animal. The whole shaping of the shoulders and the head really get across the vibe of this is a manta ray man, which I really like. And in fact, it's funny because then Hukimari also sort of did a manta ray man thing. And I'd argue he pulls that off better than some of the guys at the bottom of the list here. Okay, my number 2, I accidentally kept flashing him on screen, was Karpa. Go away, Mantax. Go away, Mantax. That is not Mantax. Karpa. He was one of the ones when I saw in the catalogue, and probably him and, well, now Takadox is number 1. Both of these guys were ones that I didn't hate. When I saw them in catalog, I was like, these ones look cool. Firstly, Karpa comes up with a brand new set of armor. Now, obviously, that was duplicated on Mantax as well, but this truly feels like this is his because it's front and center on his build. For me, I thought that was great. Just again, as a kid who wanted the new parts, I was like, finally, one of them has a body piece that's new. Like, you know, obviously it's built around the Nika, but it's a very good piece. It really carries, and it fits around that piece in a unique way that the other two parts that had the previous year didn't. It kind of gives us an option for Inika builds, which weirdly they didn't use that often. This is the problem. If we're going to keep reusing the Inika design year after year, they should have given us new body parts to body armor on top of the build. Like, the Tora in 2008 should have had a nuva style Inika body overlay. It would have made so much sense. I think Hero Factory did that to a degree. Now theirs was even more boring and repetitive, but still they had the idea of, we're going to use a build, we should actually create shells for it. Tangent aside, he gets his body and these matching thigh and shoulder armor. Those are great. Interesting to get, connections on the side. Kalma's armor also had that. Those were kind of newish for Bionicle armor pieces, which was great because it allowed us to have different iterations. Can sit on the front or the side of these pieces. Yeah, I mean, his head is really cool. This marbling of Keat Orange and I want to say trans blacked really creates a crabby sort of texture. It really looks like he's got a shell on him. And I think the color layering on him looks pretty cool. I don't know why the core of his body is black, but it doesn't bother me. I think if it was a more jarring color, it'd be weird. But black, I think, is always quite neutral. But I like the fact that, he's gray as his secondary color. He's not necessarily an Earth character, but, it wasn't just established like with Hukimari that stone is black and Keat Orange, right? He's a bit of an interesting one. He's not quite Keat Orange. He's almost this brown, organic crab shell type thing, and he's heavily using gray. He has a really cool giant claw piece. It kind of makes Mantax's look weak and puny, giving him a bit of cock envy, I think. But yeah, great claw piece. I like the way it's built and allows it to articulate a bit. It's another one where I can blur my eyes and pretend the squid launcher is his other claw, so he has a symmetrical bunch. The only problem I have with this head, which I really do like, I really like that we got it recolored in the playsets, I like that we got it on Nocturne, is it does feel like it's missing a bottom jaw, which Nocturne fixed. Yeah, not much to say about this guy. He just is... He's again, if you want to compare him to the other Baraki, bar Kalma, he's probably the most boring, but I think he's really brought to life by his armor. And, he looks like a rugged, tough guy. Like, he seems like he would be business. He's the bruiser of the team, and it's quite evident straight away. Yeah, I don't know. He's simple, but he's carried by his unique color scheme, unique part set. And yeah, I don't know. He just looks cool. There's not really much else to say about him. And then, of course, number one, just through absolute deduction, would be Takadox. Takadox almost embodies everything that I dislike about the Baraki, but does it well, if that makes sense. There's another picture of him. That's a weird picture of him. Like, he's, again, using that stick body, but it actually makes sense for him, right? Takadox, for whatever reason, is a mantis. There's a million billion creatures in the sea. Lego couldn't come up with a sixth sea creature? I don't know. Very odd, but still. The mantis build is very cool. It's a very interesting kind of monstrous design, and they kind of dipped back into the well with going for a mantis design the following year with Krika, which was also a really cool set. But I think they achieve it really well, and I think what works with Takadox is leaning on some of those learnings from 2006. By making him glow in the dark, he really embodies one of those creepy deep-sea bioluminescent creatures. And I think this is where all the kind of really scrawny limbs and stuff kind of work. Unlike Elec, while he does use the Technic lift arm, there are parts all over it so he remains skinny without it just looking like bare Technic scaffolding. The Visorak feet to create the tail cover up most of that. His armor piece, his unique armor piece, sits on the back of that as well, so it's all shielded without. And unlike Prydak, who should be broad-shouldered, strong, I'm a big shark man, He's a creepy stick insect, right? So him having these creepy narrow shoulders works a lot better for him. His weapons are really cool. The glow-in-the-dark elements, this might be one of the best glow-in-the-dark integrations alongside Nocturne. All the 2007 sets that glow-in-the-dark are great. They make sense. I like them on the Baraki because it makes their teeth look nasty. But, you know, deep-sea creatures, the glow-in-the-dark elements is a really good choice. I like Takadox's little red barbs all over his body, utilizing a connection point that a lot of Bionicle sets have, but they don't really utilize until, you know, G2 uses CCBS, so you have to use the lightsaber-sized rods. But again, like unlike Elec, he's got them well distributed, and his bony limbs that have nothing on them still have a connection point. Plus, when his Karapod, go away. When his limbs are translucent, there's some visual interest going on there that distracts you from the fact that they're completely empty. So again, still works a lot better. I will say it is part of the rehashing stuff that frustrates me is that the fact that he has the same arms and legs as the previous blue villain and feet. It's almost like, okay, you buy these back to back, you've already got to share a massive amount of shared parts between the two back to back blue villains, but what are you going to do? That was the direction at the time. Similarly to sets such as Nuparu Mari, he uses Baraka limbs here. In this instance, because the gap is towards the elbow and there's nothing on this bone, it means his limbs are very posable. Again, he's quite a skinny, gappy design, so it sort of works, and I'm not too bothered by the gap. And I do like using it in this direction because it creates like a wider sleeve at the base. But yeah, he has very hyper posable limbs, which is cool. Takadox does have a interesting armor piece. Weirdly not used that much post 2007. It's weird. It was like once they started rehashing Nika designs, they kept creating new pieces and basically barely using them and just sticking to the same ones from 2006. The Karabra armor, I don't think ever returned within Bionicle. It showed up in Power Miners. The Takadox armor showed up on Vampira, and I think that's it. The Kalma armor appeared a few times. I know I have a silver one from, I want to say, the vehicles that were in 2008. Even like the Gali Mystica shoulder armor, another new piece. Basically used as a headrest on a vehicle and never again. Weird. Again, they kept creating parts for it, and then the set designers kept going, I don't care, I want to use 2006 pieces. Random tangent. But yeah, I think that's it. I don't think that I have much else to say. He really executes well on his character. He represents his animal really well. His weapons are cool and creepy. They match his teeth. He has a really great face mold. Great to see that recolored in gunmetal and then in white in the play sets. Yeah, Takadox is the best summation of the Baraki. He has everything you kind of need to know about the Baraki. He has a lot of rehashed parts. He has a lot of the things I don't like, such as just the bodies just being technic limbs and lots of unarmored pieces and things looking a little not complete, but he does them well. So Takadox rightfully gets the #1 spot in this list. Now, there are other Baraki adjacent sets that sort of use the building style that they had that I think excel better. I really like Nocturne. Nocturne would be sitting up here as well. Spinax is basically a Baraki build, and I really like Spinax as well. So, you know, it is what it is. I guess I didn't really touch on the Squid Launcher. The Squid Launcher is terrible. I think it's well known in the community now that the prototype worked too well. So they had to basically nerf this piece and just made it suck. So I think on most of these sets, I just take off the Squid Launcher, except for Mantax and Karapa, just because it makes it look like they have a second claw. And yeah, same thing with the Squid storage. They're scattered around in all the sets. I just basically ignore those. Also, actually, looking at this picture, I forgot to bring up, Takadox also innovated on an old school piece. This is basically a remolded version of the Slicer foot, just in thick. So you can fit a full pin in versus a half grey pin. That's cool as well, I guess. Happy days. So that's my Baraki list. Again, I think, given my history, I've had to reassess my thoughts on them. As a kid, I think I had a little bit of blind hate for these guys. But over the years, I've grown to appreciate their traits, especially these top three. I I think, as I mentioned earlier, the major difference between the top 3 and the bottom 3 for me is how well they represent their animal, how well I think they capture the vibe of what they're trying to represent. Takadox nails the mantis look. Mantax is a great manta ray. He's just a manta ray with like a body descended from below it. Fantastic. Karapa looks hardy. The shell design on the molding and the colors on the shell really look like crab, like a dude in crab armor. Then you get Kalma. Okay, he's just a dude holding 2 tentacles. Great head sculpt. That is a fantastic head for that build, but the rest of him is just so boring and does not really represent anything squid-like to me. Elec is just a shitter Takadox in my opinion. Just, again, it's almost like they had Takadox and they're like, let's do another one. Let's do an eel. Again, if an eel was too difficult to achieve, pick literally any other animal. And I just think they just went pretty generic with him. And then Prydac just sucks in every single way. He just sucks from the ground up. It's just baffling. I know I get comments every time I shit on Prydac of why he's great and why he's this, why he's that. It's just, there's just too much wrong with that set to me. And it's one of those things where I look at it, I'm like, damn, how did this make it to production? This just looks bad. But whatever. Enough shitting on Prydac from me. That's my list. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let me know why I'm wrong and why Prydac is the GOAT, as everyone says. I mean, you can like Prydac, but to call him the GOAT is crazy. But, you know, each to their own. It's all taste at the end of the day. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. Let me know who you want me to rank next. Animation is on the way. I'm going to keep saying it. But it is very close now. I just need to do the final touches on it, and it will be with you guys. So hopefully you enjoyed this list. Hopefully I've given you some food for thought, I guess, or, you know, violent rage. And yeah, I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.